The 7 worst car recalls ever. Nowadays, making a new car model from scratch will run up car companies a bill of billions of dollars. The design, engineering, and safety elements all need to be combined into a desirable and profitable vehicle for the brand. There are some cars, however, that don't quite match up on the safety front, letting various issues slip through the net. Here are 7 of the worst recalls ever in existence. Number 1. Toyota's sticking throttles, 2009 and 2010. It's hard to imagine a manufacturing error quite as bad as this, but it happened to Toyota in 2010. An unlucky combination of manufacturing errors turned a selection of Toyota's best-loved vehicles into a runaway steel death trap. The exact cause of the defect was different for different vehicles, causing further confusion. In most of the cases, the floor mats became lodged under the accelerator, jamming the throttle into the floor. In a few other cases, the gas pedal would simply stick down. This scary error resulted in more than 60 cars running away out of control. Scary stuff. Tragically, the defect resulted in 1 death, leading to Toyota issuing 2 massive recalls in 2009 and 2010. The exact cost of the recall is unknown. However, insiders at Toyota estimate that it could have been up to $5 billion. If this cost is true, that would make it the most expensive automotive manufacturing recall ever. Number 2. The Takata seatbelt scandal, 1995. Car makers virtually never make every part themselves, usually outsourcing smaller component parts to other companies. A lot of German makers used Bosch, American makers used Texas Instruments, and in Japan's case, they were using Takata. This plan didn't go so well in the mid-90s, however, when a 9-month-long investigation involving 931 consumer complaints was commissioned. The investigation revealed that the button on the latch of the seatbelt was prone to cracking, meaning that the mechanism jammed. This resulted in drivers and passengers being trapped in their seats, unable to escape. More than 8 million vehicles were recalled, costing at the time an estimated $1 billion, $1.6 billion in today's money. Due to the nature of an external company's part being the issue, this affected 8 of our favorite Japanese automakers, including Nissan, Honda, Suzuki, and Subaru. Number 3. Ford cruise control fires, 2005. If you own a Ford pickup or SUV from 1995 to 2005, you may have had this recall done. In 2005, Ford recalled a whopping 4.5 million vehicles for a potentially dangerous cruise control circuit. Some unlucky owners found that their switch was overheating, creating the risk of a fire even after the vehicle had been turned off. This recall affected vehicles such as the Ford Explorer, Super Duty Diesel, and Ford Windstar. If you've got a failing cruise control, odd brake behavior, or trouble shifting out of park, get your car to a Ford dealership right now. At the time, Ford themselves suggested that vehicles without the dealer-installed wiring fix shouldn't be parked indoors or near to your residence. Still, it's hard to imagine just how many 4.5 million vehicles actually is. The image below should give you a rough idea, and that is just 1,000 cars. Number 4. Ford's automatic gearbox failure, 1980. If you think 4.5 million is a lot of cars to fix, that's nothing compared to this one. In the early 80s, Ford execs realized that they would have to recall an incredible 20 million vehicles. Ouch. More than 21 million cars from Ford, Mercury, and Lincoln brands had the chance of developing an automatic gearbox fault, resulting in the vehicle slipping from park to reverse without warning. With so many cars affected, it was no wonder that 6,000 accidents, 1,700 injuries, and 98 deaths came about related to this issue. The primary result of the recall was Ford sending current owners a sticky label, which stated that the gear selector lever must be engaged in park. The parking brake is fully on and the ignition is shut off before you exit the vehicle. Number 5. General Motors engine mounts, 1971. In 1971, General Motors issued its largest recall to date when they discovered that more than 6.6 million of their vehicles contained a fault that could cause the possible loss of throttle control. The cause of this was faulty motor mounts, resulting in the engine unexpectedly detaching from the chassis. I know some General Motors fans out there that would say that their engines are so powerful that this is normal behavior. Unfortunately, this isn't the case, as the defect affected even the lowest power models. 1971 was still the days of cable throttles, so when the engines detached, the cars often over-revved or behaved unpredictably. Fortunately, GM found the issue promptly and installed engine restraints to each vehicle to prevent the engine from lifting. Number 6. Explosive Ford Pinto fuel tanks, 1978. The Ford Pinto was a practical and stylish compact car, popular in the late 70s. The only issue was, when involved in a rear-end collision, the rear-mounted fuel tank had a tendency to spontaneously combust. Recalls happen, but quite often it's what car makers do to fix the issue that matters. Being a fairly early recall, Ford didn't treat the matter well, infamously conducting a cost-benefit analysis of lawsuits per life versus fixing the flaw. Their number crunchers worked out that it was cheaper to deal with lawsuits than to fix each car individually. Their ingenious plan backfired, however, when a California court ordered Ford to pay an astonishing $125 million to one victim's family. This extremely harsh fine was meant to dissuade car makers playing legal games like that again. Number 7. Volkswagen emissions scandal, 2009 and 10. This list really wouldn't be complete without Volkswagen's Dieselgate scandal. Despite only 475,000 Volkswagen and Audi vehicles being recalled, the disregard that Volkswagen had for consumer safety is unlike any other. Volkswagen deliberately programmed a cheat device to restrict power and performance in a lab situation to meet regulations, yet de-restrict this in the real world. This meant that customers were tricked into thinking that their cars were green, when actually they would not pass modern emissions tests. The real mess came along when Volkswagen tried to recall the vehicles, offering to fix them. The so-called fix resulted in hundreds of customers just having the cheat mode turned on all the time, which, like I said earlier, just restricts performance. This meant that their cars were actually worse than before. Although debatable, I would say this scandal has marked the beginning of the end for diesels, as the tech can only be pushed so far. So there you are, 7 disastrous car recalls. Which car recalls did I miss? Has your car or someone you know's car ever been recalled? Let me know in the comments below. I reply to everyone in the first 6 hours. Cheers!